Hi, my name is Janelle Morton. I'm the Center Director of the Southern Arkansas University Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center, and I welcome you to this discussion about employees versus independent contractors. One question I get asked from clients is how to determine the classification of workers. As you grow your business, understanding the distinction between these two types of workers will be critical. I want to begin this discussion by pointing out that there are legal differences between an independent contractor and an employee. The ASBTDC does not provide legal or tax advice. A discussion with your attorney and accountant is important to ensure that your business properly classifies your workers. As a matter of fact, there's a recent development from the United States Department of Labor on this topic. On September 22, 2020, they announced a proposed rule addressing how to determine whether a worker is an employee under the Fair Labor Standards Act or an independent contractor. Your attorney is best suited to help you navigate these regulations. There are repercussions for misclassifying a worker. Many businesses mistakenly believe that they have some freedom in determining how to classify their workers, but this just isn't the case. In fact, misclassifying workers can be costly. If you pay a worker who should be an employee as an independent contractor, you might be held liable for employment taxes for that worker, along with interest and penalties. The correct classification of workers is a huge part of payroll compliance, so you will want to take the time necessary to properly classify any worker you plan on hiring before you actually bring them on to your team. The IRS has a web page dedicated to help you determine the difference between an independent contractor and an employee. You can also file a Form SS-8 with the IRS, which describes the nature of the relationship between the payer and the worker. And the IRS will review the facts and circumstances and give you an official determination of the worker's status. Now, this process can take up to 6 months to complete, but it may be well worth the effort if you hire several workers who perform the same types of services under the same circumstances. So let's discuss some basic general information to help you distinguish between the two worker classifications. First, the classification of employee. Employees generally receive instruction on what, when, where, and how they will work. An example would be an expected time for the worker to clock in and an expected time for the worker to clock out. Employees are workers who are eligible for company benefits, such as paid leave, insurance, or retirement. Employees work for one employer and typically report to a supervisor or manager. Employees receive the tools and materials necessary for completing their work from the business and are reimbursed for business expenses. And now the classification of independent contractor. Independent contractors have greater control over their work processes. They do not receive company benefits, and typically they have multiple customers or clients. Independent contractors are responsible for covering their own business expenses, such as rent and, for example, tools. If the proposed regulations that I mentioned earlier are approved, the Department of Labor will, number one, adopt an economic reality test to determine a worker's status. Number two, identify and explain the nature and the degree of the worker's control over the work and the worker's responsibility and opportunity for profit or loss based on initiative and/or investment. And number three, identify 3 other factors that may serve as additional guideposts and analysis. And number 4, advise that the actual practice is more relevant than what may be contractually or theoretically possible in determining whether a worker is an employee or an independent contractor. Now, I think you can see by the content of this video the complexities involved in properly designating worker classifications. Again, please consult with an attorney to accurately categorize your workers. Thank you.